You don't have to be in business very long before you achieve turnover status, right? Every company has it. Every company experiences turnover. The real question that we've got to ask ourselves when experiencing turnover is this: who is leaving and why? You don't have to be in business very long before you achieve turnover status, right? Every company has it. Every company experiences turnover. The real question that we've got to ask ourselves when experiencing turnover is this: who is leaving and why? And by the way, before I get any further, those that kind of get distracted, squirrel, it says Trekkie, okay? Trekkie. You can't read it in its reverse, but I'm an old school Star Trek fan. Okay, now back to this. Who is leaving and why are they leaving? Suppose you were to rate every team member on your roster and you were to take them, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. Who is leaving? Do you have level 2, 3, and 4s that are walking out the door? Or do you have 7, 8s, and 9 level team members that are walking out the door? If you're losing the least talented in the organization, it could be an indication that your present leadership is holding consistently to the standard of excellence, to the standards that the company has developed. But if you're losing 7s, 8s, and 9s, and even 6s for that matter, if you're losing the best talented in the organization, then it might be a result of the current leadership is not holding the standard and the environment is less than desirable. What I've discovered when I consult with businesses is that generally speaking, people will leave people, not the company. It wasn't the job itself. It was the people that were in the positions holding leadership maybe. Conduct an exit interview and you'll discover at least one of these 3 things: that they're leaving because of poor leadership. They're leaving because of weak teamwork. Maybe they're leaving just because of one individual, one team member, or one leader that they just can't get along with. And so people generally leave people and not companies. Every time a great employee or every time a good leader walks out the door, the company itself suffers. And you know this, if you've been in business for any length of time at all, you understand that they suffer. Now, the knee-jerk reaction to a good leader leaving the organization is now we're scrambling around to find sometimes 2 or 3 people to replace that individual, or worse, we're trying to find quickly a level 4 usually ends up replacing a level 7 that left. And of course, you've got weaker leadership, you've got weak team members. And so since turnover is inevitable and everybody has to suffer with turnover and people are going to eventually leave, most of the time don't take it personal because they're not leaving because of you. They may be leaving because of something else. But you can't stop the cycle, but you can slow it. And I want to list for you 5 ways that I help businesses and leaders to slow the turnover rate. The first thing is this: know what you're looking for in the beginning. Don't know what most companies wait until they're sitting in front of that individual face to face before they start assessing who it is that they want or who is this person. But I help my clients with just building and crafting a better application. You know, you can build your own application. What a novel idea. You don't have to print one off a ready-made off of Google Docs or some free template online. Build your own and let it speak into the values. And so when they're answering the questions in the application itself, it helps you to understand before you even crack that door open with a phone call, before you ever schedule an interview, what is this person like and would they be a good fit on the organization? By the way, tip, if somebody doesn't have enough character to finish and complete the application, it's a no for me. I'm not even going forward. That goes in the red file. And we file that away, never to be seen again, because if they're not going to complete one task, the first task to get on board, they're not going to complete very many tasks once they get on board. Okay, so number 2. So the first thing I said, know what you're looking for. They've got to be fill out the application. Build a very good application that speaks to the values that you have in your company. The second thing is this. Thoroughly evaluate every applicant. Before you reach out to them and bring them in for an interview, do a Facebook stalk. Do a social media stalk. Check them out on Instagram. What are they posting? Are they on LinkedIn? check them out on Facebook for sure, just to find out what's interesting to them. What do you have the same values? And if they're just that's their updated Facebook profile, then maybe you don't want somebody like that in a customer service friendly atmosphere, especially if it's a family friendly atmosphere. You don't want that. But so you might consider that. You might consider a phone screen, and operate just not off your head, but operate off of a script. What are the things that you really, truly want to ask them on the phone screen before you ever even bring them in? By the way, also, since you have the application, check references. Before you even open up that can, follow up with those people that they've put on there, the references that they've done, the jobs that they've worked before. I know it sounds so corny and it sounds so simple, but it's not being done. Especially when you're scrambling around to replace the 7, 8s, and 9s that left your organization, you're going to end up with 2s, 3s, and 4s if you don't follow a good process. Number 3, conduct effective interviews. An effective interview is not just sitting down with only a piece of paper and their application. You are unprepared. In my opinion, humble opinion, I think you ought to build a face-to-face interview script that truly speaks into the things you want to know about. That if you have 7 different positions and you're only hiring for one, build a script that speaks only into that one position to see if they're a right fit for that one position. Don't hire on the spot is what I'm saying. Build a script that speaks into that and maybe even conduct a follow-up interview. Number 4, make orientation a big deal. So they've made it through your phone screen, your Facebook stalk, social media stalk. It's been a great interview and you've hired them. It's day 1 and you're going to conduct an orientation. Now, orientation it seems like a lost art and not many people are doing that. They want them to come ready-made, and it doesn't happen that way. But on day 1 of anybody's, the first day of work, the anticipation as well as the anxiety in that team member or that new leader is so high. They're focused on every word that you say. So capitalize on that. Take advantage of that by clearly articulating the expectations. When you're going through, if it's HR and you're going through all of the things that they need required, make sure they understand what's all expected of them in the role they're taking on day 1 in the orientation. And the last one is this: spend the time required to train. You gotta build a training program, a robust training program that speaks into the details. People don't know what they don't know. And if you're expecting them to read your mind, it ain't gonna happen, right? And you're gonna experience a higher turnover, and they're gonna get frustrated, and they're gonna blame you leaving in an exit interview saying that I had poor, weak leadership and no teamwork, only because they didn't know the expectations, and they weren't trained effectively, or we sold them a bill of sales saying that this is what our company is like, and then when they got into it, it wasn't anything like that at all. So remember this: people do leave people, not companies. And so if you want to win in the marketplace, you're going to have to win in the workplace.